So I have a question for you, and you need to answer yes or no. Now you can answer in your head, but you must choose. So take a deep breath. Am I happy? Yes. Oh, look at that. Some of you in the room, I bet, if you're like me, when you heard that question, you didn't really answer yes or no. What you did is say, it depends. Because for me and for some of us, it depends on what I'm thinking about the moment you ask me that question. Who did I argue with that morning? Did I eat enough food, get enough sleep? If you are like about 2/3 of the US citizens, you will answer no. No, I am not happy. It is not so much that people are miserable or depressed. It is just that people do not experience joy, happiness, in a consistent basis. They don't know how to get there. Thoreau said, most men lead lives of quiet desperation, and that includes women. So I had a pretty good time in my 20s. My 30s, however, were a completely different story. I call it my decade from hell. And yet by society's standards, I should have been on top of the world. By my own standards, I should have been on top of the world. I had achieved a lot of what I had set out to do. In fact, some of the goals I had set for myself, I had exceeded them. But I just couldn't sustain that feeling of joy and elation on a daily basis. And I really couldn't tell you why. It was about this time that I began to explore what I call spiritual truths. I did a lot of reading about what these spiritual gurus tell you is supposed to be your reality. And the underlying reality of all of them seems to be that I am supposed to be experiencing abundance, feeling joy, even amidst the storms. But I wasn't. I couldn't figure out how to get there. And so I began to wonder, is this just pie in the sky? Are they just BSing us and this really isn't real? You know, maybe happiness is a luxury, like a true luxury out of reach item. And I'm just like the masses. I'm just going to kind of live a life of, well, you know, it's good enough, whatever. I'm going to settle. Ugh. But I did not like that. I wanted to be one of those special people, whoever they were. So I did what I always had done when I really wanted something. I put in the work. I started putting in the research. I looked into what success and happiness looks like, walks like, talks like. I read thousands of research papers. I interviewed hundreds of people. And ultimately, I got honest with myself about myself. After a few decades, I put all that information into a book. So the good news is, there is a formula to happiness. There is a way to think and walk your way into peace, joy, freedom, success, happiness, in any other area of your life, regardless of how you're feeling. You're still going to experience the feelings, but you're going to get there much quicker. I do not have the time to tell you what's in my almost 300-page book, but I can tell you the research proves there is one underlying foundational principle that kind of gets the ball rolling in the right direction. So I'm going to share that with you today. However, I can't share it with you. It won't make as much sense until we revisit why is it that 2/3 of the US population, you walk into a group of 10 people, 6 to 7 of those people are not going to be having a good time. They're going to be sad. They're going to be unhappy. So we need to look at the research. For decades, world research institutions have been examining happiness because they know that happiness is a viable indicator of people's health. Unfortunately, the US is very sick. The thing is, I told you, there's a formula, right? There is one underlying principle, underlying truth. It's going to set that ball in motion, moving towards the right outcome. And that is going to be that people who have the highest levels of happiness, people who understand that life is meant to be lived in union with others as we turn ourselves into the unit of blessing. Hence, everything I say and do, all my time, all my talent, all my treasures, is not for me. It is for you. People who consistently give, consistently serve, recognize that you are designed to be a blessing. You in turn are blessed to be that blessing because you give your time and your talents and your treasures to other people, and not just family and friends, not just people who can say, thank you, I love you, you're great, and pat you on the back, but the stranger, the person who will never pay you back, the person who may never know who you are, maybe even someone who's downright antagonistic. If you're serving strangers, some of them are antagonistic. But people who embrace this lifestyle know that's the difference. Research proves, my experience has been, it isn't always so much about doing more or giving more. It's really about reframing what you're doing it for, about reimagining why you're giving and serving in the first place. So if you can change your language, very simply from I have to go do this, to I get to go do this. I have to go talk to those people. I get to go talk to those people. People who change their languaging for themselves, change their attitudes and perspectives about it, change themselves from the inside. People who give of their time and their talents and treasures consistently, not just when it's convenient, not just when it feels good, not just when you're in a mood, but they embrace this lifestyle, are 43% happier. And they legitimately change themselves from the inside out. They're healthier. So, you've heard the age-old wisdom, possibly. It is better to give than receive. Research bears this out. Those people who embrace a lifestyle that everything you say and do, your time and your talents and treasures are designed for other people, are happier. So ultimately, is happiness a luxury reserved only for a few? Absolutely not. It's a gift. It's a gift you give yourself when you embrace that everything you are is a blessing to others.